Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to your design project. What we're going to make today is just this really simple cabinet right here. But I think it's important that you know how to make a cabinet, how cabinets are made. So we're going to learn how to do this in SketchUp. So I'm going to come out of here. I'll just go home. Can I just go home? I'm just going to go home. I'm going to click Don't Save because we're going to do it all together from the beginning. So you know how to log on to SketchUp at this point. Once you're on SketchUp, we're going to go to Create New. Now, that cabinet looks really, really simple, but it is a little complicated. So try to keep up. It's all things that we have learned before. Remember, use a mouse with the scroll wheel so that you can rotate around and flip around. First, I want to kind of come in here and I want to tilt it so I'm looking kind of at the green line. I'm going to grab my rectangle, start here, and I'm going to build a rectangle. And you got to move it around so that I want a red rectangle so it's upright. And I click it. And then once I click it, I'm going to click 36 inches and then comma 24 inches and then enter. And that will snap there. And I'll move this up. That's where you're typing 36 inches, comma 24 inches. So that's the left wall of our cabinet. There's the left wall. So now we have to pull that out. So we're going to pull it out. And we want to use 3/4 inch plywood. So we're going to click 0.75 inches. Or you can type 3 divided by 4 inches. And now we have a piece of plywood that is 0.75, 2 feet by 3 feet. 2 feet by 3 feet, 3/4 of an inch thick. All right, so now there's one or two little new tricks that I want to show you. One of them is a tape rule. This is a little measuring tape rule right here. It's this guy here. And what we can do with that is we can just make little marks as reference points. So we're going to click here and we're going to come down this face and I'm going to click. But I only wanted to come down 1 inch. So I'm going to type in 1 inch, 1 quotation marks. And now I have, you can see, just a little tiny dot there. Right here I have a little tiny dot and it's called a guide point. And now you can see that when I come over here to the rectangle tool, I can put it right on that dot. And now I know that this rectangle is going to be 1 inch down from the top. And that's exactly what I wanted. So I pull that over all the way till it says on edge and I click. Now, I don't want my rectangle to be quite so wide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change that. 2 feet long is correct. So I'm going to stay with that and I'm going to say 2 dash is 2 feet. 1 dash is feet, or I could do 24 inches again. But I only want it to be 3/4 of an inch, so 0.75 or 3 divided by 4. And there you go. Now we have that 3/4 of an inch. Now the reason why I wanted to put that there is because we build cabinets, and when we build cabinets, we put a dado in. And if you remember what a dado is, it's when we saw that guy in. So I'm going to push that. Now I only wanted to do half of the plywood for a dado, and half of the plywood is 3/8. So I do 3 divided by 8. Because if the full plywood is 3/4, half is 3/8. And when I click enter, now you can see we have a perfect dado that goes halfway down the plywood, just like we wanted. So we want to repeat all that for the bottom. So in case you missed some of that, I'll show you. Now I got to get down to the bottom of my board, so I'm going to click Shift and the scroll wheel. Remember that trick? And it's going to move down. And now I can kind of zoom in on the bottom a little bit. And let's go over those steps one more time. I'm going to click my tape measure. I'm going to start on this corner. And I'm going to measure up 1 inch. So I'm going to type in 1 and some quotation marks. And now that little mark is 1 inch up. I'm going to rotate around, grab my rectangle tool, start on that guide point that I just made, click once, you don't hold the button down, and then on edge, click again. And remember, I want that to be 2 feet is good, but now I want to change that. So I'm going to do 2, 1 dash is feet, comma, and then I'm going to do 0.75 again. Bam. And that's the size of my dado. So once again, I'm going to use my push-pull tool. Let's say that odd, push-pull. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to push it in. And I want it to go in 3/8. So I type in 3 divided by 8 and some quotations. And now that guy is a perfect dado, as you can see. So if we zoom out a little bit, zoom back in, maybe use our shift button to kind of adjust ourselves. You can see I got a dado at the top and a dado at the bottom. So that's really cool. That's what we wanted. That's the left side of my cabinet. Now I want the same thing on the right side of my cabinet. So in order to do that, I'm going to make this one giant object, because sometimes this guy gets confused and forgets that this is one board. It thinks of it as a bunch of different lines or something. So I'm going to select, I don't know if you caught what I just did there, but I went under this mouse and I selected everything in the picture, boom. And I'm going to right click and I'm going to make that a component. And you can just say, okay, component number 1. You don't have to put any more detail. So now this knows that this is all one board. So what I'm going to do now is I want to copy this. And if you remember how to copy, we're going to move this move tool right here. Click on that move tool, come over here, click control and click the button at the same time. Now you can let go of both of them and just slide this over and click enter. And I want it 2 inches away, so I can do 24 inches, or you can just do 2 and 1 dash. And that's perfect. I don't know if you noticed though, everything looks great here, except one small detail. Our dados are on the wrong side. So we got to flip this board. So this is the other trick that I wanted to show you. I want you to right click on this, and then you come all the way down here and it says flip along. And we want to flip along, what did we want to flip along? We want to flip along the red. Boom. And when you flip it around the red, you'll see that the dados now are inside facing each other. So there's the beginning of our cabinet. That guy's looking really, really good. We have dados in the right spot. Now we're going to slide a piece of plywood into those dados. So I'm going to kind of zoom into those dados a little bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my rectangle tool and I'm going to click right on that corner, the end point. And then I'm going to slide it over here to that end point, and boom, there's the start of my plywood. Now I'll use my rotator tool. We're going to rotate around. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And this is why it's so important to use that mouse so that you can do all that. I'm going to use my push-pull tool, and I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to push it out, and then I'm going to put my mouse on the face there, and it says on the face, so it knows to pull that out. And there you go. That's how that guy's looking right there. So we're going to zoom out a little bit. We're going to do the same thing down here. So we'll zoom in down below. We're going to go to our rectangle tool. We're going to start in this guy, click, and we're going to come over here, make our rectangle, click, rotate around, use our push-pull tool. We're going to take this guy and we're going to pull it. Ooh, I did something wrong there. Oh, geez. This is going to be more difficult than I thought. I'm maybe too close to the object. All right, let's try that again. Pull that out until you get on the face. There you go. So sometimes things just go a little wonky, so that's okay. All right, so there you go. We have our beautiful cabinet, and it's got the 2 sides, the top and the bottom. That's a really good start. Now, there's one more thing that I want to do. So I'm going to make this one giant component again, just so that it knows that this is one object now. Make it a component. That's component number 2. So that guy's all one piece. So now I just want to build a face frame, which just means I'm going to cover up the plywood with some nicer wood. So I'm just going to use my rectangle tool, and I'm going to come over here. I'm going to start on this edge, and I'm just going to drag it over here, and I'm going to bring it all the way to, I'm going to zoom in apparently. I want to bring it all the way to where it says on edge. Boop. And I just made a rectangle there. So now that I've done that, shift and move it over a little bit. I'm going to use my push-pull tool, and I'm going to pull that rectangle out. And I want it to be 3/4. So I do 3 divided by 4, and then inches. Now it's 3/4 of an inch thick. I just pulled that board out 3/4 of an inch. So we are almost done with this cabinet. You guys are doing a great job. I'm glad that you're following along. I want that same board down here at the bottom. So I'm going to click the Move tool. I'm going to come over there, and remember, I'm going to hit Control and click it once. Then I can let go of both things and drag this way down to the bottom where it belongs. And that's looking pretty good now. I got a little bit on top, a little bit on bottom. The last little thing I want to do is make 2 rectangles to connect everything up. So I do endpoint. I bring this down. And this one I'm just going to eyeball to where it says 2 inches on the bottom of the screen. There's that guy. I'm going to grab my move tool. I'm going to copy that guy. I'm going to hit control, click on the move, and I'm going to move that right over to where I want it there. And now you can see I have my face frame. I forgot to make my face frame a little bit thick, but that's okay. Not a bad start. So that is your cabinet. Hopefully you're able to do a cabinet as well. I think we should try to push that in a little bit in. I'm going to push these in just because that's going to bother me. Otherwise, I'll push those to the cabinet. And I'll push these into the cabinet too. And there we go. All right, that is your face frame project. Hopefully you understood all that and you were able to make a cabinet with a face frame. Let me know if you have any questions and I can help you out with that. Good luck to you, and if you have any struggles, please come see me.